The next topic, children, that we'll see now is to find out the solutions to the basic problems through price mechanism. And I have already told you in the beginning of the chapter that we'll be seeing the execution of these two tools, that is the price mechanism and planning, in all types of economies. So basically price mechanism is a key feature of a capitalistic economy. So first of all, we'll see how price mechanism solves the basic problems in a capitalistic economy. So first and foremost problem that every capitalistic economy is facing is what and how much to produce, that you have already studied. Now because we know that we all know that there are large number of producers in a capitalistic economy, right? And they all produce goods and services. Now producers, they would like to distribute or allocate the resources for the production of those goods and services which are demanded by the consumers, keeping in mind that consumers are the sovereign, right? They are the kings and queens in a capitalistic economy, right? And they will be producing these goods in such a quantity as it is demanded by the consumers, right? So what we can say that actually producers, they will like to produce those goods and services which yield higher profits, and they compete with each other to produce those goods and services which are demanded by the consumers, because such goods only will have a higher price and such good only will fetch them higher profits. Because the higher the demand for a product, the higher will be the price and the amount of profit. Now higher prices, they will motivate the producers to produce more in order to earn higher profit. So this is the part of what to produce, right? On the other hand, the opposite of it is that if there is a decrease in the demand for a commodity, it will bring down the prices, and with the fall in price, profits will be reduced, and as a consequence, producers will reduce the production of that commodity. So producers will allocate and reallocate the resources depending upon the demand of the consumers in a capitalistic economy. The second question is how to produce. Now this question is related to the adoption of cheapest and best mode of production technique, right? So a producers must minimize the cost of production so that they can maximize their profit. Minimum is the cost, maximum is the profit. This means that each producer will produce using the cheapest method of production or the most efficient technique of production. Yes, cheapest doesn't mean that it is inefficient technique. The efficient technique or cheap means it should be the way we say cheap and best. It should be cost effective also. It should be good also. It should be best technique of production also. The cost of a technique of production, it is determined by the prices of inputs used in producing it, right? That is basically we use two kinds of technique. We have actually two kinds of technique. One is capital intensive technique and the other is labor intensive technique. Capital intensive technique is capital oriented, that is you use more of capital machines over there and less of labor. And labor intensive technique is where you use more amount of labor and less amount of capital. So what I was talking about, that the cost of technique of production is decided by the prices of inputs that are used in that technique. That is, if it is a capital intensive technique, the amount of inputs will be costlier as compared to labor intensive technique. Again we have to see into it that how we can make it more cheap and more effective. whether it is a capital intensive or it is a labor intensive. So the input prices, they are determined by the price mechanism, again operating through the competitive forces of demand and supply in the factor market, right? So now the firms which combine resources in the most efficient manner will earn highest profits. So competition will force all the producers to produce in the most efficient way, right? So what we can say, that how to produce will be determined by the cheap and effective technique of production, and this will depend on the cost of production technique that will be decided by the prices of inputs. So two types of methods are there, capital intensive and labor intensive. Keeping all this in mind, the producers will be using their technique of production in the most efficient manner. And what will be decide the most efficient manner? That may earn maximum output, minimum cost and maximum profit. These are the criteria for the most efficient technique of production. Then the third question is, for whom to produce? Now the what and how questions, they are concerned with production, that is how much, what commodity is to be produced, how much is to be produced, how it is to be produced. It is all related to producer part or the production part. The question for whom, it is concerned with the distribution of goods which have been produced, right? Now again, in a capitalist economy, production and distribution are closely linked. The way we said that production is decided by the demand pattern, that means production is influenced or dictated by the demand of the consumers. Similarly, the distribution is also governed by the production pattern. How? Now in the process of production, when the production is going on, the incomes are automatically determined. How? The price mechanism helps in determining the distribution of total output. Who will get the goods depends upon the income of the people. Yes. Therefore, distribution of total output of goods and services depends upon the distribution of income actually. Income means again wages, rent, interest and profits. They are the main forms of income. For example, wage is the price of the services of labor, say. Interest is the price of the services of capital, you can say, right? Now these factor prices, they are determined in the factor market by the forces of demand and supply. If wages are determined in the labor market by the demand for and the supply of labor force, this is how the factor income is determined. That is how much you are going to offer to a laborer, or through the mutual consensus of both demand for and supply of labor, the income, the wage of the labor is determined, and this income will determine how much of the good and services that person, that labor can avail from the market. Higher the income, higher will be the share of goods that a person can avail from the economy, right? So the income they earn, that is the laborers, all the factor owners, they earn, is used to purchase goods and services. Now in a free enterprise or a capitalistic economy, incomes of different individuals are very much unequal, right? And as a result of this, the distribution of goods is also very much unequal. The rich people get a large share of the national product. On the other hand, on the contrary, the poor people will get, because they are getting low income, they receive a smaller share of the national product. These are the problems and the solutions to the various problems in a capitalist economy with the help of price mechanism. Alright, Now the next is, there are certain conditions that are must for price mechanism to play its role or that it may work. The first condition is that there must be competition, and when there will be competition will be there that when there are large number of producers, right? When the producers are large numbers, then, and each one of which they cannot control or influence the price. If the number of producers they are much more, that means no individual producer can influence the price of the commodity. Collectively the price of the commodity will be determined. So there will be a competition in the market, and right, in fact an individual producer has to adapt himself to the price changes. That is, whatever changes will take place, he has to follow that price policy. Next condition that is required for price mechanism to play its role is that the cost that is bore on the production of a commodity, it must reflect the sacrifice. What do you mean by that? I mean to say that since we all know that the resources that you are using, they are limited. So for whatever commodity you are for whatever commodities production you are distributing the resources, that commodity must be a commodity of worth, that must be demanded by the consumers, so that whatever resources you are using, limited resources, they show the real sacrifice made by the owner of the factor services. Because whenever you know that we have various demands, we have various choices, we have limited resources, but the want of the people are multiple, and the people, since they are demanding multiple goods, they are multiple, but they cannot purchase all the commodities. So they make a choice. The way they make a choice, that when they make a choice for purchasing something, they are also making a choice not to purchase some other thing, and that is also equally important. On the same token, when the producers, they are choosing to produce something, they are also making a decision not to produce something. So the decision that they are making not to produce something, that is a sacrifice in terms of resources, because those resources are used for the production of the other commodity. Now this sacrifice must reflect, right? This sacrifice, the cost that you are bearing to produce this commodity, this cost must reflect the sacrifice that is made by the producer by not producing the other commodity. Then demand, they must reflect the needs. Whatever you are demanding, it must reflect your needs, right? You understand, it should be a demand of necessity by the consumer side. Then the resources should be mobile. Mobile means they must be free to move from one use to the other use. If they are perfectly mobile, so that the production can change quickly in response to change in demand. This would ensure the flexibility of the price mechanism. And then correct anticipation of demand. The producers, they must correctly guess the demand, they must correctly estimate the demand that is coming up in the market, so that there is neither underproduction nor overproduction in the economy. Then there are certain non-economic conditions which are also need to be taken care of, and these are, there must be a developed legal system that is protecting the property rights. Law and order in the country should be good, because these conditions are also required. They should be good in order for price mechanism to work properly. And then no interference by the government. Now price mechanism would be able to function efficiently only if it is allowed to work freely. Intervention by the government maybe in the form of rationing or licensing system or fixation of quotas, etc., it will obstruct the functioning of the price mechanism. So these are the conditions or limitations in the sense, if these conditions will not be there, the price mechanism will not work, right? So this is the limitation, these conditions must be there, and these are the conditions. If these conditions are there, then only the price mechanism will work. Then the next is the evaluation of price mechanism. Till now whatever we have seen, now we have come to a state where we can assess how much successful price mechanism is in a capitalistic economy. So the first assessment comes out that it is helpful in solving economic problems. How this mechanism is helping the capitalist economy in solving the economic problems of what are the problems of the problem of resource allocation. We have talked about methods of production, distribution of national income, economic growth. All these problems we have talked about, and price mechanism is helping to solve out all these problems. It provides an elegant device of deciding about production, consumption and investment. Then next says that it is helpful in coordinating and organizing the resource owners, all the forces in the economy. A capitalist economy is basically an unplanned and decentralized economy. Unplanned because there is no planning agency, and decentralized because no central working system is over there. Price mechanism is working automatically. There is no hand, there is no malevolent hand you see over there, right? So, but it is not an uncoordinated and chaotic economy. There is no confusion. In spite of no human intervention, there is no chaos in the economy. This is what is said in favor. We can say these are the arguments in favor also. In favor of the capitalist price mechanism, it works smoothly, efficiently and in an orderly manner. Because in spite of the fact that millions of people with different interests, they participate in the working of an economy like this, but there is no chaos or anarchy. All right. Then next is it promotes social welfare also. How the supporters of this enterprise economy, they claim that the price mechanism works efficiently and effectively so as to ensure maximum welfare of the society. Though individuals, they are motivated by self-interest because they are kings and queens, they are the ones who are free to take their own decisions. But still, while they are promoting their personal interest, they promote the welfare of the society as a whole. For this, Adam Smith has given a statement. He says the invisible hand of price mechanism ensures that while promoting their self-interest, individuals promote the social welfare as well. Then it preserves the individual freedom. We can say that for sure, because consumers, they are free to decide which commodities they would like to produce. Similarly, that producers, they are also free to take decision related to production. So these are the arguments in favor. This is an evaluation or assessment of the working of price mechanism in a capitalistic economy. Right. Now the next thing that we come to in this section is the solutions to the economic problem in a socialistic economy. Now we know that socialistic economy is the economy where public sector owns all the enterprises, government owns the enterprises, right? Now here all decisions they are all the decisions they are what to produce, related to what to produce, how to produce, they are taken by the all powerful planning authority, that is the government. Now how the question of what to produce and how to produce is solved over here? Now the planning authority, they makes an estimation of the available economic and human resources, right? We know that human being is also a resource when investment is made in the form of education, medical, right? When we made investment in human beings, they become the capital. So the planning commission, they make an estimation of the available economic and human resources, and at the same time they also take into account the requirement of the economy for various goods and services, right? We need to have the resources, that how much resources we have, and we need to also have the idea of how much, what is the demand that is coming up in the economy. So both the estimations, they are taken by the government. Now while doing so, the planning authority assesses the needs of the people and the national priorities. Being a government undertaker, the government not only takes care of the need of the people, but it also takes care of the national priorities. Now, the planning authority estimates the amount of various commodities which people want and direct resources into their production. I hope you get this point. That is, the planning authority, it estimates the amount of various commodities, what commodities the consumers they want, which people want, and then direct the resources or distribute the resources for the production of those commodities. Now, while determining the size and the assortment of the goods to be produced, the planning authority has to see to it that adequate amount of goods are made available to the people. This is how the planning authority is working for the welfare of the economy. Then again comes the question of how to produce. Now, here the planning authority has to take into account the economic efficiency of various techniques we have already talked about. That is, in a capitalist economy, they are finding out the cheap and efficient technique. Now, here we are seeing the economic efficiency of various techniques. Now, while choosing the technique of production, it has to make sure that economic resources of the country are completely utilized, and it also has to take into consideration that the social objectives and the development goals while choosing the technique of production to be used. So, there is a slight difference when the capitalist economy or the price mechanism is making the decision about how to produce, and when the socialistic economy is deciding how to produce, then for whom to produce. Now, here people in such an economy, all the productive resources are owned by the government, we know, and the people, they are working only as laborers over there. In a capitalist economy, we have seen that the people, they are the resource suppliers, and here we are seeing that the household is not the owner. Owners are government, or government is the owner of productive resources, and people, they are only working as laborers, and they earn income in the form of wages only, right? Now, how much wage is to be paid to different categories of laborers, it is decided by the government being the owner of the factory services. Now, wages, they are determined by taking into consideration the quantity and quality of work which is done by the workers, right? For an example, say a skilled workers, they must be getting a higher wages than an unskilled worker. And workers who get more wages, they are able to get more goods and services, and those who are getting less wages will get less goods and services. So, from this we can derive a principle that from each according to his capacity, that is for the work, and to each according to his work, right? This is the principle over here. It is the basic principle of distribution of income in a socialistic economy. However, here the socialist economy, it aims at equitable distribution of income while fixing wages for different categories of workers, right? So, even though there is not complete equality, it is not a completely egalitarian society, but still, yes, comparatively more of equitable distribution of income is here as compared to capitalistic economy. So, in short, what we can say, that a socialist economy, here a planning plays the same role as played by the price mechanism in a capitalistic economy, right? Now, the last topic that we will be seeing in this chapter is the solutions to the basic problem under mixed economy, and I hope that we all know that mixed economy is your economic system. So, we will be more careful about everything over here, and also when you are studying this chapter on your own for your self study, you will have to pay special emphasis on the role of government along with the working of price mechanism, right? Here that is more, this content is more focused in this kind of economy, but otherwise also we know that capitalistic economy also have certain amount of government intervention. Socialist economy is a completely government controlled economy, but in mixed economy the government intervention is more, and in a capitalist economy government intervention is there. So we have to find out, we have to be specific about the role of government in each type of economic structure or each type of mechanism. Now in a mixed economy, private and public sector, they coexist. So it is an economy which is characterized by coexistence of certain features of both capitalistic and socialistic economy. Now in a mixed economy, basic economic problems are solved with the use of both price mechanism and economic planning. Now price mechanism plays as important a role in the functioning of private sector of the mixed economy, and the planning commission or the government seeks to control the functioning of the price mechanism through various economic policy. What policy? Such as industrial policy, fiscal policy, license policy, monetary policy. These instruments of economic policy, they influence the distribution of resources, income distribution, amount of investment, etc., to meet the national priorities. Now while the private sector is guided by the profit motive over here, the public sector plays an important role in developing economic infrastructure. And what can you say as infrastructure? Such as power, transportation, banking, all these, they come in infrastructure in an economy. And also in undertaking investment in capital goods and basic industries, right? However, the free markets and price mechanism are preserved over here, but under certain control and regulations of the government. The firms that are operating in both the private and public sector, they are left free to adjust their activities in the controlled market forces. And so the price mechanism, the problems that are solved over here, they are, you can say, it's a regulated market mechanism, right? So the first problem is what to produce. Now in the private sector of mixed economy, price mechanism plays an important role over here in solving problem of what to produce. Those goods are produced over here which are demanded by the consumers, as it is in capitalist economy, as the firms may earn large profit by producing such goods, right? Now consumers' preference influence the production decisions of the firms over here. However, the production in the private sector is also controlled and regulated by the government. This you will have to take care of. This role you will have to take care of, that how government is controlling the working of price mechanism in such a market. And it is controlled and regulated by the government through monetary and physical and price controlling policies. You will have to underline this part, you will have to take care of this part and focus on this part while you are studying it. On the other hand, the public sector, it is planning authority that decides what to produce and how much to produce, keeping in mind the overall national objective. How to produce is in the private sector mixed economy, it is the price mechanism that solves the problem of how to produce. How it is solving? The firms, they will choose the method of production on the basis of factor prices, the way they are choosing in a capitalist economy. Profit motive motivates them to choose the least costly or the most efficient technique of production. The similar way, this is all the similar way, the way a price mechanism is working in a capitalistic economy. But in the public sector, the problem of how to produce is solved by the planning authority and the government. Now while the government is solving this problem, or while the government is choosing the technique of production, the planning authority is influenced not only by the input prices as price mechanism is, but also it is influenced by the objectives of generating more underlying employment opportunities or promoting economic growth. There lies a difference between the public sector working and the private sectors working. And the last question is for whom to produce. Now the price mechanism helps stop the problem for whom to produce. In the private sector of the mixed economy, people with high income will be able to get a larger share of national product, because more of those goods will be produced which are demanded by the high income earners. But in the public sector, this decision for whom to produce is taken by the government, and the government's objective is to ensure that adequate quantity of necessities is produced in the public part of the mixed economy. The government controls production in the private sector as well to achieve this objective, so as to ensure the availability of necessities. Again, this is an interference. This is the role of the government in price mechanism, which you'll have to take care specifically with an emphasis on this part. With this, the chapter is done.